gets done around here. Every bike that needs to get built gets
The
done.
only reason shit gets
Everybody's
done around
working
this
at
is
all
everybody
times.
else does it. Bullshit.
It would burn to the ground. That's bullshit.
Paul Teutul Jr., one of the most recognizable faces in custom motorcycle building, rose to fame through the hit reality series American Chopper. As the creative force behind many of the show's most iconic bikes, he quickly became a fan favorite, admired for his vision, craftsmanship, and clashes with his father, Paul Sr. But as the cameras stopped rolling, many were left wondering what really happened to Paul Jr. From bitter family feuds and business fallouts to starting over on his own terms, Paul's journey has taken unexpected turns. Let's take a closer look at what really happened. On October 2, 1972, American Chopper star Paul Teutul Sr. and his wife Paula Teutul celebrated the birth of their very first child, fittingly named after his famous dad. As a kid, Paul Jr. quickly got hooked on his father's wild obsession with motorcycles, an obsession that would shape every part of his future. Alongside his siblings Michael, Kristen, and Daniel, he watched their dad, Paul Sr., build up the family's steel empire, Orange County Iron Works, from the ground up. Even at a young age, Paul Jr. threw himself into the gritty world of metal and machines, learning the ropes before the family ever tasted a single drop of Hollywood fame or fortune. By age 12, he was already spending his summers grinding away at the family shop, sharpening his skills, and building a rep as a kid who picked things up lightning fast. But this was just the beginning, long before the world knew him as the metal-twisting, tire-shredding master craftsman he would become. Paul was just a regular kid with one big dream: he wanted to be just like his dad. Wherever Paul Sr.'s interests went, Paul Jr. followed without hesitation. His father was his ultimate role model, his hero. Even though their relationship would later be rocked by serious drama, both behind the scenes and in front of the cameras, things started out much simpler. In high school, Paul Jr. took his passion even further by joining a Board of Cooperative Education Services program. This gave him hands-on training in metalworking, and he quickly became a valuable pair of hands around the family shop. But that skill came at a cost: his childhood. While other kids were off on summer vacations or enjoying carefree adventures, Paul Jr. spent those long, hot months surrounded by machines and grown-ups in his dad's gritty shop. It forced him to grow up fast, maybe too fast. After finishing high school, he didn't take the usual route of college degrees or fancy certifications. Instead, Paul Jr. jumped headfirst into the world of steel fabrication and became a full-time worker at Orange County Iron Works. As the years passed, Paul Jr.'s presence in the shop became impossible to ignore. He steadily climbed the ranks until he was running the railing division like a pro. But just as things seemed to settle into place, the Teutul family was hit with a dramatic twist that no one could have predicted. Paul Sr.'s focus started drifting away from traditional metalwork and straight toward a bold new passion: building motorcycles. What began as a weekend hobby soon started turning into something huge: a potential empire. At first, it felt like just a dream, still out of reach. But Paul Jr. watched closely as his father's interest in motorcycles exploded into something much bigger, and he couldn't help but get drawn in too. He found himself falling in love with the creative, intense world of motorcycle customization. Then came 1999, a year that would change everything for father and son. Recognizing his son's sharp eye for detail and serious fabrication skills, Paul Sr. officially brought Paul Jr. into this brand new journey. And just like that, Orange County Choppers was born. Every empire starts with a bold vision, and in 1999, Paul Teutul Sr. made his move to chase a dream that was burning inside him: to become one of the greatest custom motorcycle builders in the world. Breaking away from the success of his iron fabrication business, Paul Sr. founded Orange County Choppers at 10 Factory Street in Montgomery, New York. But the dream didn't stay small for long. Just 3 years later, the business packed up and moved to a bigger spot at 27 Stone Castle Road in Rock Tavern, New York. The timing was perfect. Within just a few years, Orange County Choppers exploded in popularity and became one of the biggest names in custom bike building across America. Their raw talent and jaw-dropping creations were impossible to ignore. It wasn't long before the Discovery Channel came knocking, and in December 2002, the world got its first taste of the phenomenon that was Paul Teutul Sr. and his unpredictable rowdy crew of gearheads, engineers, and master craftsmen. Audiences were instantly hooked. The fiery drama, the outsized personalities, and those jaw-dropping bikes had people glued to their screens. This wasn't just a show, it was a full-blown cultural obsession. For a whole generation of young viewers, American Chopper was more than just a show. It lit a fire. It sparked a brand new passion for roaring engines, burning rubber, and riding off into the sunset like rebels with no rules. The launch of American Chopper marked the beginning of an unforgettable ride that would shape the lives of everyone involved, on screen and behind the scenes. Unlike most reality shows filled with scripts and staged drama, this one had something real. The crew, Paul Teutul Sr., Paul Jr., Jason Pohl, Vincent DiMartino, Cody Connolly, Michael Teutul, and others, weren't actors just playing a part. These were genuine builders, living and breathing motorcycles. Their passion for crafting jaw-dropping two-wheeled works of art went far beyond any fame or paycheck. And that authenticity? It hit hard, and fans loved it. The show quickly became a massive hit, and in no time, the shop went from a humble workspace to an eye-popping 12,061,000 square foot custom facility in Newburgh, New York. It was a symbol of their wild success, until reality struck back. In 2011, financial pressures forced Paul Sr. to give up the iconic property to his chief lender, GE Commercial Finance Business Corporation, just to keep the business from going under. It was a stunning twist. Nobody saw that coming. Despite the financial blow, the company held on by leasing 2/3 of the property, just enough to keep things from slipping away entirely. But for Paul Teutul Jr., Orange County Choppers was never just a stepping stone to fame. It was home. As the shop's chief designer and fabricator, Paul Jr. played a massive role in launching the business into the stratosphere. His creativity and vision brought jaw-dropping designs to life, bikes so stunning they left fans and even fellow craftsmen in complete awe. But Paul Jr. didn't just shine behind the scene. His bold, no-nonsense personality lit up the screen. He wasn't just building bikes, he was building a legacy. Audiences were drawn to his energy, his presence, and that fierce drive that made him unforgettable. His rising fame turned him into a full-blown celebrity, and even after he walked away from American Chopper, he didn't slow down. Instead, he took that spotlight and built a new empire of his own, one that still stands strong today. But the most unforgettable moment of the entire series, the one that fans still talk about, was the explosive fight between Paul Jr. and his father. That clash didn't just shake the shop, it tore through the show itself and eventually led to the entire series being shut down. You've probably seen this infamous blowout. It's the one that became a legendary meme and sparked countless YouTube videos breaking down every fiery moment. But for Paul Sr. and Paul Jr., this wasn't about internet fame, it was deeply personal. The tension had been building for years, and when it finally exploded, it shattered everything in its path. Let's dive into the jaw-dropping details of the day Orange County Chopper's dream came crashing down. Everyone knows the golden rule: never mix business with family. And no one learned that the hard way more than Paul Teutul Jr. and his father, Paul Sr. Their shared dream turned into a ticking time bomb that eventually blew apart not just their company, but their relationship too. As we peel back the layers of American Chopper, the heartbreaking downfall of Paul Jr. stands out as one of the most unforgettable tragedies tied to Orange County Choppers. And all of it began long before that explosive fight that finally brought the show to its knees. The father-son duo had clashed more times than anyone could count, heated arguments that often sank to shockingly low levels, putting both their business and family bond on the line. Paul Teutul Jr. and Paul Sr. were bringing raw, unfiltered drama to living rooms everywhere. Fans got used to the yelling, the eye rolls, the slammed doors, and for some, it became part of the show's wild charm. The fire in Paul Sr.'s eyes said it all. He was hanging by a thread, trying hard to hold it together. He wasted no time. The moment Paul Jr. stepped through the door, he was called straight into the office. And there was no sugarcoating anything this time. Without holding back, Paul Sr. made it crystal clear. He was fed up with his son's repeated lateness. But before you could even blink, the tension snapped and the talk exploded into a full-blown war of words. Paul Sr. came at his son hard, saying he was tired of having to babysit a grown man who should know better. And that's when everything spiraled. Instead of taking a step back, Paul Jr. matched his father's fury with fire of his own. Both men lost it, screaming at the top of their lungs, trading brutal jabs, and flinging the harshest insults they could think of. No filters, no mercy, and zero regard for each other's feelings. By this point, it was painfully clear whatever respect once existed between father and son had completely vanished. But things were about to spiral out of control in a way no one saw coming. As Paul Sr. pulled out the contract and started reading it aloud, pointing out every single time Paul Jr. had broken the rules, it pushed his son right to the edge. Fed up and furious, Paul Jr. snapped. In a moment of pure rage, he grabbed a chair and launched it across the room. The chaos was loud, raw, and unforgettable. And just like that, it was over. Paul Jr. was fired on the spot, from both the garage and the show. Perhaps most surprisingly, Paul Jr. Designs now works hand in hand with his father's company. Many former OCC employees have found new homes in his shop, signaling a quiet but powerful truce in what was once a bitter rivalry. Off the clock, Paul Jr.'s personal life is thriving. In 2010, he tied the knot with Rachel Beaster, and by 2020, they had settled into their dream home on Long Beach Island. With a successful business, a happy family, and a hard-won peace with his father, Paul Jr. has carved out a life many only dream of. Today, he's worth an estimated $2 million. And his journey is far from over. From chaos to clarity, his destiny is aimed at the stars. Share your thoughts on Paul Jr.'s life in the comments below, and if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for further updates, and click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.